Welcome back. Number 19. Number 19. How's it going, Jason?
Good morning, sunshine. Little Good Morning America. Uh, Early bird show today. We got some continuing education at the office. So we're getting the show in. We're doing our reps. We're putting the work in. We're making it happen for the peeps.
Yes, sir. Up and at 'em, which is new for me. For those of you that know me, know that I am not a morning person in any way, shape, or form, but maybe have gone through a bit of a transformation in the last week or so. Because that's kind of what we're going to go through today. Had the Maverick Mastermind, John Cheplack's event. Jason and I went in December to Las Vegas, and this one was in Nashville. Jason had some prior commitments. Otherwise, I know you'd be there, my man.
Oh, for sure.
So yeah, the point is newfound clarity, right?
Nice. I like it. One thing I would say is, it's hard for everybody to do, but kind of you did it in the intro, was just putting labels on yourself, right? I'm not this, or I'm not that, right? I'm not a morning person, or I'm not a this, or I can never do that, but you could do, you know what I mean? I think we self-limit our potential when you kind of put that in the back of your head, because that'll go right in the subconscious, right where you don't want it to go. And it's like, yeah, you know what? I'm not that kind of person.
It's so funny. It's so funny. I literally say this every single week in our team presentation. One of our principles is no limits. You live in the story you tell yourself. But it's a recent principle. It's one we added recently because I noticed a lot of team members coming on and saying, "Oh, you can do this because you're Chad," or "I can't do this because I'm techie," and I'm like, it's bullshit. I have agents that aren't techie that have done this, and agents like that have gotten better than me at whatever I do. I don't know. And so yeah, no, that's good. It's right. I'm not living my own principles. So
On your ass
no,
out early.
that's why I love it. That's why I love you, man.
But I'd say for the audience here that might not be familiar with the events, kind of just give them a breakdown of what they're all about, where it was, kind of the time frames for it, commitment, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So it's John Cheplack, who's probably the coach of coaches for team leaders, broker owners, even seems like even some lenders are in there as well. What a guy to follow. I think he's caught a lot of attention over the last year or so because people are realizing those shiny objects don't work, and the truth is the truth, and he's a truth teller. I think that's why he stands out so well. But anyway, he does do kind of like quarterly mastermind events, really to give you an experience of what his organization's like, I think, or what he's about. Give me an experience of him, and it's smart because it's a very contagious and good experience. One of the biggest things that you talk about commitment and stuff like that. I've been to a lot of conferences. One of the biggest differences I noticed when we first went to Nashville was like this thing was ripping. Like, what is it, 8 to 6? You're lucky. Yeah, the lunch is an hour and a half. But if you don't go too far over on the speakers, like and then okay, cool, it's ripping, but there's questions. It's a mastermind. It's not a glorify session, and they cut, like, the egos are dropped, and there's no party, there's no event, it's just let's get to business, and let's cut all the other shit out, and so this one was in Nashville, and let's talk about commitment. Everybody's like, "Oh, I've never been to Nashville, never been." So everybody's, "Oh, you're going to Nashville, they go this, they go that, and I did eat a few good places, but, Broadway being the main attraction there, I laughed. I told everybody, like, they were like, "How was it when I got back?" Like, you don't want to hear what happened with my version of Nashville, because it was the most boring, work-oriented Nashville trip or that I could possibly take as me, somebody who wasn't this way before. But yeah, Broadway, I walked across the street to get to dinner on the other side of it, and I walked back across it. First night, never went back. I went to bed on Friday at 9 p.m. and was up at 5 a.m. on Saturday morning in the gym. Not normal for me. but I'm getting excited on where we're finally heading. I think the vision is clear, so it did that. So I hope that kind of sets the stage, right?
Yeah, I think it's a 2-day event. Like Chad was saying, it's usually like 8 in the morning till 6 at night with a little bit of a lunch break. But it's all business, and it's one of those conferences that you go to, and it's like, sometimes we go to these events and it's like, oh, what do you want to see or who do you want to listen to? And you can kind of fluff out like the intermediary stuff. Events like this, it's like, I want to hear what everybody has to say because it's just going to help me grow. And it's the best in the business, basically opening up their playbooks and allowing you to, kind of see behind the curtain of what they're doing and what's making them successful, what's working, what didn't work, right? Pretty being open and honest about it. And I think that's why it's contagious, because it's like, it's not just theory. It's, kind of in the weeds every day, blueprint for how to make it happen.
So you gave me a good tee up there, because that's what I saw more of here than at the last one. Was you say talking about what didn't work, and sure, that was said, and but this one, there was a lot of admission of shit, I ran this the wrong way, or I focused on the wrong thing. A lot of humility, a lot of leaders that I knew beforehand that admitted they ran it wrong, and that is huge. And I think everybody's so scared to tell the bad, but it's actually probably a huge catalyst in all reality. And you shouldn't just do it for a catalyst, to be clear. You should do it because you're being real. But because some of there was one in particular where it didn't have. I had a different opinion, and then after I saw the humility, probably formed the right opinion about the person, right? And there's no judgment, but we make observations as we interact with people on, are they being authentic or not, right? And I think I was one a little bit more on a few. But anyway, I think the other aspect that wowed me this time. So one was humility from a lot of leaders. I saw that, and authenticity was just on fire compared to the last. But the other big thing I saw was, John always talks about actually coming from abundance, and it's not competition, it's co-opetition. And if you're not putting everything, if you're not putting yourself out there, if you're not putting giving it all away in a sense, you're not betting on yourself, because nobody's you, and nobody's going to actually do it the way you did it. And I've definitely lived this, where I put a lot of my stuff out there, and it's like, nobody can replicate it the exact same way as me, because nobody's me, and I've gained way more than I've given by just putting my stuff out there. Like I've EXP taught me a lot of that, I would say. But I didn't talk to you too much about this, Jason, but John runs Reside, which is a team platform that I look into it if it's legit, but tech stack, systems, processes, coaching, all that good stuff. And obviously you got to give up some money for that, but it's good stuff. And then there's another one called Place that Ben Kinney, Keller Williams kind of put together, and he was a team leader there, and put an organization like that together. I think there might have been one or two others, but like those are the main two that I've heard of, at least, is Reside and Place. He had someone from Place as a speaker, so he's running Reside, and he had a competing. It's like, and there was other things as well. There was other coaching companies and other, it's like if you went to EXP Con and they had Remax leadership and Keller Williams leadership, which that's something you never see in the brokerage side. And I almost like, it's like, I would love to see some brokerages really step it up and cross that way, really be collaborative. That would be cool. If our little podcast that could challenge them. But you saw coming from abundance with that, and that floored me. How when she got up and she said she was from Place, I was just like, holy shit, that's like me taking my straight up competitor and going, please come talk to my agents and bring what value you can, and betting on myself enough that I wouldn't lose my agents. So that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's,
I'm going to lose all my business to the competition, right? Yeah. Now, I mean, I love it. Like you said, coming from a place of giving is, kind of makes all the difference, right? Because people could see that you're authentic. They could see that you actually care about them. They see that you're like trying to have their best interest at heart, right? So when you bring in a competition like that, right, it shows, hey, look at, there is other options out here. We still think we're the best, but we want to show you, kind of other options if you're still looking. Maybe it's a cheaper option too.
Well, it wasn't even about showing the options. It was more just like it doesn't matter what hat you wear. We're all in the same game. Let's mastermind, which is that's all tiny on my hat, but that's it's a Maverick is the business leader mastermind, right? It's not an echo chamber like some of the brokerage events can be. It's just what it is. Sometimes it's just everybody saying the same thing and everybody's cheering on the same, beating on the same drum. But it's really important to hear different perspectives. It's really important.
Yeah.
And with that, perspectives from people who have done more than you and perspectives of people who have done less than you. Because people who have done more than you might know something you didn't know to scale, but the people who have done less than you might know something that you've gotten detached from that's closest to the dollar activity or in the trenches that you forget about. The soldier on the front line of the battlefield knows what that battle feels like as opposed to strategists sitting in their ivory tower, right?
Yeah, identifying your blind spots, right? The people closest to you could kind of realize, what you may be missing because you're focused on something else, which is helpful, right? So I think with the event, kind of the way it's structured out is, every day with 4 speakers in the morning, 4 speakers in the afternoon, that's 8, and then another 4 the next day, and another 4 in the afternoon. So you got like 16 top, and it's not just real estate individuals, like you said, you got people that are, business owners, you have professional coaches, you have, professional, geez, I can't think of her name now, but she was a
Piano
musician.
teacher,
Yeah,
Carmen.
she was a piano teacher and kind of taught you about the learning process and kind of your blind spots on that. And, practicing every day isn't good if you're not practicing the right things, right? So, um,
Well,
what
so I'm happy you said that real quick because this has been huge, and I've used this so many times because of what John had put out a few weeks ago or a month ago, and you were involved in this. He said, "Text me." I don't know. It was like text him directly about something, and he went. But he had a back and forth with a buddy of mine who actually came to Maverick, Brian Riley. He's another team leader in Pittsburgh, and he talked about role playing, and John said, "Role playing's BS. Like, sure, a little bits of it's okay, but you need to be doing the action. You need to be doing it because you don't." And I say this all the time now from that because he gave this bike example. You don't learn how to ride a bike on a webinar. You don't as a kid, they're not like, all right, how to ride a bike without losing your leg. And step one is, but no, you get out there and you get on the bike and you fall on your face and it's a mess the first time. And then guess what? You do it again and you fall a little less and a little less. And then you think you have it. And then, oh shit, you fall again. And then you get it. And then it becomes like breathing eventually. And that's why you learn by doing, not by theory.
Yeah, no, that's huge. You know what's bad? I was just gonna do like implement some role playing thing. Now I'm like second guessing my thoughts. So you
Yeah.
got me questioning my life decisions now. But no, I like it. Um, but let's talk a little bit about each day. Do you want to kind of break it down morning, afternoon for each session, one takeaway from each, or how do you want to kind of let the audience know kind of your thoughts, on specific people or topics?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because it's such a blur, it's such a whirlwind. I mean, there's no place you'll get more tactical information. Yes, the inspiration's still there, the stories, and these stories hit me more than ever. But trying to break it down. So I don't know. Day one, John came out and said, I'm not here to get you to change. I'm here to get you to. I'm here to like facilitate a transformation. Um, and I don't know how else to describe my personal journey, but I was just kind of like, what? Well, okay. Uh,
Sounds
and
nice.
it somehow happened. It somehow happened. Things were different. You listen to this information, but I think what happened for me is all the things started clicking, the things of consistency and simplicity, but like having the true mission, having the true north, having that stuff. I'm trying to get into the days. I mean, there was trying to think of day one versus day two. I got day two better. So we're gonna go to day two speakers. Day two, there were a couple of things of note. One that I thought was total genius was John's wife, Brittany. She and Nick McLean did a white glove listing presentation, and I think you can buy this now. It's available. Probably go onto his page and check it out, and you can pay for this whole process. But there's one thing in particular I found groundbreaking. She uses Follow Up Boss's numbers. You can have different phone numbers in there. So she created an extra phone number. You could do Google Voice even, right? If you're watching this, and made that the client concierge line. So, like John says, give someone an experience of you before they work with you, so they know what it'll be like when they work with you. And this was done perfectly with this. So they scheduled a listing appointment and they send a text out from the client concierge line and say, hey, this is Chad Leonberg's team's client concierge line. This is the admin, but just let you know, Chad watches this line with a couple other people. We have multiple people on this line. This is one number you can text to confirm your appointments, to ask about where your contract is, to to any questions that come to this line, and we'll get it to where it needs to go. One number, because what is people's number one complaint about most real estate agents or their real estate agents is communication. I mean, it's communication.
For sure.
How genius to leverage just one number that you could have multiple people plug into. So I thought that was such a simple trick, that not trick, but service.
Yeah.
So awesome. Another one was, I never heard of Brandon Brittingham. And he had coached with John, years ago, I think, and for years, or I should say, like long time, and built up a big team. I think he has a lot of different businesses. Big real estate investor. I think he just hit like number 2 on podcasts for like investing next to Dave Ramsey. He was number 3 at the time, so he's like coming up. It's wild, but he really, on the inspirational side, kind of moved me, but really showed somebody about putting the people you work with in front of you. And he told an amazing story about how he had an agent he brought onto his staff. It was cool. He put out a recruiting ad and described her in the ad because he wanted her, as the top producing agent. And she read the ad and called him and said, "This sounds like me." And that's because I wrote it about you. It's a super good story. But he paid it back to her on stage later in life, where he paid off her. He said she'd never have to make a mortgage payment again, and it was just what a story. And he talked about how you should give people their flowers while they're alive, and basically appreciate the people around you. And that really, I know this isn't necessarily directly business related, but it is. It is. It's it's a big deal. But that one, he there's been very few speakers that have hit me like him. John's one of them, right? But like there was just such an important, I don't know, conviction in his speaking. So that was really good too. It's a lot though, man.
I've heard that concept in the book called Die with Zero, where basically, you're kind of giving your stuff away before you die. So you end up with 0 at the end, but it's like, I'm not going to go through the whole thing now, but basically it's like, why wait till, you're dead to give everything to your kids when they need it now? You know what I mean? Or if you could do something nice for somebody, do it now. You know what I mean? So way more rewarding than, I forget what they said, like the average person dies at 80. They give their kids their money when they're 65 or something like that. It's like they don't need it at that point. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Larry.
Well, let me a second. Go ahead if you need to. I can take it for a minute if you need to.
Yeah, you want to wrap it up?
Yeah. I mean, go ahead if you need to. Take a second. I can kind of carry it. So, I think I'm going to give him a mute here real quick. Since we are live, we run this live. We want this to try to be real and authentic here. All right, I muted him. So if you're I think one of the biggest things is, too, is we show a lot of this polished outer, especially in real estate. I think there's just a lot of polished, oh, we just sold this, just sold that. And, that's one thing I tried to make an attempt at showing and I need to do more of. But, I made a post of my daughter recently because it was a picture of her making brownies while I was at the conference. And it's one thing I don't think people realize enough is the sacrifices in this business. Like most people I talk to that say kind of must be nice about real estate, they come from the regular W-2 world kind of deal. They come from an employee world. But like, if y'all are allowed to cut out at an hour early, like you're gone, you know what I mean? Imagine a career where you have to willingly choose to pay to book your flight, book your hotel, to go to the conference, to miss your child's softball game where she got her first game ball of the season, to miss those moments making brownies, to miss time with your wife. Um, and go to a conference that is optional. It's not required. This has nothing to do with my brokerage. This is 100% just for me to better myself and be around people that are smarter than me, doing bigger things than me. And there's that sacrifice that needs to be made sometimes. And it's required. And I think that's why real estate has such a high failure rate, is because it's entrepreneurial and you've got to make those decisions. Um, you got to make those decisions that are not um, are not comfortable. They're not. There's sacrifice involved. And I think what's happened, personally, if I'm going to go and kind of in the theme of that conference and stay in humility and be humble and be authentic and show the real, is that when I had made a move to Florida, I had a lot of really good systems and processes. I set a lot of those things up right where a lot of it could function without me. Hey, Jason, I got you muted. I'll unmute you back here. But and one of the biggest things that I did was not continue to make those sacrifices because I didn't have to. And I love what Glenn Sanford had said, our CEO or whatever, EXP founder. Um, what is it? Coasting is the first step in pain. You just haven't felt the pain yet. Something like that. I might have butchered that a little bit, and that's what definitely 120% happened to me. Was I was coasting a lot and enjoying the fruits of that hard work that got in the beginning. And what really happened over Maverick for me was it's reminding me, as John always says, it's not to teach you something new, some shiny object. It's to remind you of what you already know that's going to move it for you. And not some big thing that makes you sound smart, that makes it sound so complex that you can't figure out what the hell somebody's saying. Just keeping you within the rails on the what moves the needle. And I think that's really what happened for me, was getting back to, it's like, it's like, I feel like I had a transformation, but actually that transformation was kind of back to what got me in the
Back to
position I'm in.
basics.
So, yeah. Cutting out the innovation or the new channel that's gonna, this new strategy or this new thing or this, it's just a bunch of bullshit. It's being scared to do that work that sucks.
Well, I think the one thing that kind of me and you have going on now, it's like we call out each other's shit. Where it's like, hey, I'm thinking about going ABC. It's like, head down, focus. We'll pick up in our heads in December, and kind of see where the smoke is clearing there and see what it is. But we are not doing anything new or anything shiny or whatever you want to call it until we give it a concentrated effort for at least 12 months and just do the work.
Well, transparently, that's hard for me because I just did that with a shiny object. But I tried that. I committed to that shiny object, and I tried that thing for 12 months. Like I tried, I didn't quit on it, and I tried and failed. Well, broke even, which is for a business not terrible. I mean, a lot of businesses you can lose money on, but it was a distraction and all that good stuff. But like that's why it's easy like to just continue to throw things in the garbage and try something new, because you think it's it's just going to be this hockey stick. Especially when we watched EXP be a hockey stick, like you and I witnessed that growth.
Yeah.
That was unreal to ride along with,
Well, like you said, even if it is, like you said, a quote unquote failure, and you didn't make anything or you didn't lose anything or whatever, maybe you did lose some money or whatever. It's like people don't realize that you learn stuff along the way, right? And you're going to take those skills and that transformation and then use it for the next endeavor. And you're going to be better at the next one than you were at the first one because of the skills that you learned on the first one. So it's not ever a failure. You're always learning something somewhere, And as long as you take those skills and you keep building on them, I mean, as long as you don't give up, you never fail, right? So
1,000,000%, and that's the Hermosi will say, works harder on you than you do on it, and that's what that is. Like, even though I worked really hard on that thing and it sucked, it worked harder on me because it formed new skills and lessons and things and warning signs. Like, you know what? Don't go down that tunnel because you tried it once and it was bullshit, and stay away from that. So it's 100%. It's a big deal. But yeah, staying committed to the simple stuff. It shouldn't sound complex. It should be simple. And then the people around you, like Jason, there was something I did recently where I was, I forget what I was trying to do. I did something recently, and I called multiple people, and they all listened. I'm a good salesman. I got my wife to move our family to Florida, but we were laughing. We were on the beach the other day, and my buddy bought I didn't even sell them. I just showed mine, but I bought a Pixel phone and he bought a Google Pixel from iPhone, and they were like, "Oh, Chad's such a good salesman over here." So my husband bought the Google Pixel phone. I was laughing, but the point with that is everybody kind of believed my bullshit that I was kind of talking about, except for you. You busted me on it, and I was laughing because the 5 people I talked to, you were the only one that was like, "You know what, Chad, that's not what you said you were gonna do." And I'm like, huh? And you want people like that. You want people that will tell you, like, "Hey, what the hell are you doing? Like, that's not what you said."
I had a conversation with somebody that's thinking about getting their real estate license, and they're in sales, but they're in car sales, right? And I said, if you have that skill to sell, you'll always be marketable. So even if you try real estate and it's not what you think or whatever, you're still going to have more sales skills from the car job, the real estate job, that you could get a job anywhere. Tell me one business in America or in the world right now that's not looking for people that could help sell their stuff, right?
Well, I think sales, though, the word has and I think that's the thing, is like there's like basic level sales, and then there's kind of like sophisticated level sales, though. You know what I mean? There's cheesy sales tactics, and then there's like for example, the Pixel situation. I just enjoyed it and just loved it and talked about like my benefits of it, and then my friend wanted to get one. I wasn't in that sense trying to sell them. So that's sophisticated sales, when you learn to do that with your motive involves, with a strategy, not with a deception, with strategic planning to just show, and that's the difference. So there's that bad connotation towards sales, but you're right. Any skill you pick up at any company can be used later in life, period. So you can elaborate on it if you need to, but I agree. I just think it's worth saying, like, sales is a bit like, it's a bad word. And it can be done wrong. You don't want to convince somebody of something that's not good for them.
Let's circle back to Maverick, right? So, I mean, one of the things that, speaking of sales, right? Purchase price, like $299. For $299, they know you cannot possibly get a better deal out of that, small amount of purchase, right? Even if you have to fly across the country or whatever you're going to do, and you have hotel and this and that, I mean, all in, it's nothing. And like I said, it's one of those things where you're in the weeds. It's all business. You're going, you're hitting dinner, you're recapping the day, you're hitting the gym in the morning, and then you're going back the next day, and they're flying out. So it's not like you're sitting there, partying up in Nashville. Half the time, we should tell John, like, hey, have it in like some small place where it's cheap to go to, because nobody's going out, nobody's doing shit, everybody's getting business, and kind of making it happen.
Yeah, and the next one's in Dallas in June 13th and 14th, I think. It's Maverick.com, I think. That's right. Or you shoot me a message if you can't find it.
We could put it in the notes in the comments.
Yeah, I think I can. Yeah, I think I can type it in here. But yeah, I think we're gonna have a good couple people there. So it's because it's a good reminder to stay on the simple things, that you not get distracted. And that's why it's crucial. But for $299, I don't know of a better conference you can go to as a real estate agent that wants to have mega success, or definitely a team leader. Like a team leader, there's no other conference you should be at.
Every team leader that's watching this or is running an organization at all should be definitely kind of plug into this environment, because it'll definitely help you get to the next level for sure. I am waffling a little bit on Dallas. I love Dallas. We had some awesome barbecue there. I'm trying to rearrange a commitment that I'm supposed to be in Baltimore that weekend. Yeah. I got to go, though. I don't want to say, well, I'll just wait for the next quarter. I want, I had like buyer's remorse why I wasn't at the last one. So.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to, and it's tough to plan around life, that's for sure. But I don't know. That's one I feel I have to be at. So yeah, you go to where you need to be. And well, that's one of the things I talked about while you left was the sacrifices. Like, we always show the shiny side of real estate, but like, we willingly choose to go to these conferences. And you look at people like at regular day jobs, the corporate jobs or the W-2 jobs, that look at us and go, "Oh, you got freedom," and "Oh, you're." I said it earlier, but like they'll choose to, like, if they can get out an hour early, like they're like, "I'm out." Like, we choose to spend multiple days away from our family, our own money, our own dime, our own dollar, to invest in ourselves to grow further in our lives, not just for business.
Yeah.
I mean, I go there too because it teaches me to be a better leader. I have already used skills from this conference to help a friend, in an important moment in his life. Like, because you lead people. Everybody leads people. You lead your children. You lead your friends. You lead your
family. Everything. Yeah.
I was about to say,
I'll say this: I've never seen you more pumped up after a conference, which makes me even more jealous that I didn't make it. Because you called me like right afterwards, and you're like, "I don't want to. We'll talk about it on the show, but it was amazing."
And I feel like I didn't even talk about it, because like I don't even know how to describe what happened. That's the other thing too, man. Like, it was probably more of an internal thing too for me on this one. Like, there's this just clarity that came out of it that I've been searching for a while. And I think I've circled this clarity. Like in the past year, I've got close to it, and maybe I've flirted with it a little bit. But I think this one, I finally just, that was the perfect storm, the perfect conditions to hit that Category 5 hurricane, and look out.
When the student is ready, the teacher appears.
Oh yeah, and like I know we talked about. And this is good. This is good for this podcast. This is good right here. What makes maybe that difference in that perfect storm? I've gone to a lot of these, and lately I've been beaten up over the last year or two a little bit. And I stopped. I've always been this way. I've been scared to talk to those people that are on stage, that they're doing bigger things, and they're just freaking people. I know that you're still that, but I still don't. This time, there was no hesitation. I talked to probably 5 or 6 of the speakers in the hallway. I went to dinner with some elite agents. I didn't just sit there and watch. I participated, and I interacted. And I think that's why I got probably so much more out of it personally, was because I didn't just sit on the sidelines and watch the game. I became part of the game a little bit. And that's a huge difference. So, I know you hear it all the time, but I can't stress enough, as somebody who has been stuck in a funk for a few years, especially when it comes to talking to people that are doing better than you, like scared of that, get out of that. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I can definitely see that transformation in you, because They said, even before we started doing this, I probably knew you about 4 or 5 years. And, even though we have the show and stuff, we're all pretty much, we're very introvert, not extrovert, right? So even when we go to these things, we kind of like stick to our little group and then we kind of go from there. So just getting out of your comfort zone, getting out of that and just being like, hey, what's up? That's big.
The bigger they are, the more humble and like, I mean, there's exceptions, like, but the bigger they are, generally, the more like they're just real. They're not threatened by you. If they're a growth mindset, they'll share it. I mean, it was, um, I talked to somebody on the side. Well, I went to get water, and there was somebody, I think, in the billion in sales, some of these numbers. And, it was like a thing like, hey, turn to the person next to you and like do this thing with them. And immediately he turned to me. There was just like, no problem. It was just a good conversation. And we did a little exercise, but we talked after about some other stuff. And it was just like, he was a person. And I don't know. I mean, I know we hear this stuff all the time, but I'm just trying to share for me that like I hear it all the time. I've heard this on podcasts, and I still sit in the back and I'm telling you, like, plug in. I'm introverted as hell. And, I get that annoyance level with like trying to like, but here's the thing. It didn't feel draining or annoying to me to interact with people because I felt like this time there was no mask, and I'm big on this. And I made a post recently, I think, that might have got a few people because I've had a few conversations from it. That if you're wearing the mask, it is taxing. It is a weight on your shoulders to be in public and out there and talking to you.
You're not, yeah.
Because you're acting. Like, that's why actors, sometimes after the movies, they have to take like a couple months probably because they just became another person for a while. And it's really hard. If you just be you, because you're the only you that's out there, there's no right or wrong because it's you, and it just feels less taxing on the soul.
Yeah. It's funny that you say that. I have some new agents coming in to join the team, and I kind of told them, hey, like, what you see is what you get. Unfortunately, I curse. I am who I am, like Popeye says, right? I'm like, it's going to be summer. I'm going to be here in shorts and flip flops. I am not the suit and tie kind of guy, and I'm okay with that. If that doesn't attract my tribe and they want to go somewhere else because of that, I'm good with it, but I'm not going to put on a fake persona just because of an elevated status or whatever you want to call it. It's like, I'm just a guy just like everybody else. I don't have to kind of do different things that aren't me just to impress people I don't like.
Yeah, which is why, and authenticity stands out more than anything. And the way I always break this down to people is like, if you're at Burger King and the cashier is just being very inauthentic, going through the motions, right? Like, you'll know that. But if they're like, yeah, how was your day? Welcome to Burger King. Like, you'll notice. But if they're just like, hey, that's a nice Jeep. Like, where'd you get that? Like, and they're like, actually, I was thinking about getting a Jeep, and they were, right? Like, you can tell when they're full of shit and when they're not. So,
they got a good story for that. Just when I was in Boston, right? So I'm not the guy that like leaves reviews and stuff. So, I hate asking for them. I know we need to, but I always ask because I know they're important. But I'm in Boston and I'm getting my morning coffee or whatever, and I'm grabbing, for all the guys and stuff. So just grabbing some breakfast for everybody and taking it up. And she's like, hey, and she's like, yeah, can I get a name for your order? I'm like, Jason. She goes, with a Y or and at no Y. I go, surprise me, right? And then, we just kind of laughed it off and just had a good time. And she's like, all right, I'm not going to tell you what, what I mean? But it was just like a good interaction. Like you could tell she was all into it. It was fun. Next morning, she goes, Jason with the Y, and you just kind of like, like when you see the same kind of thing over and over, somebody that sticks out, it's just an amazing experience. So I'm leaving your review. Thought you guys were fantastic. The whole staff at the Boston, it was a Hyatt down by Cambridge. My brother had a conference down there, and we all stayed in the same hotel. But super awesome, from front desk to security, and like I said, all the people in between were just amazing. So Muriel, if you're watching, I love you. You did a great job.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I think you make an authentic impact everywhere you go. We've always said that about you. Like it's like
I,
if you know Jason, like for like anybody that's watching that we like if Ryan's watching, like like, oh, well, here he goes. Here's Jason. He's gonna just do his thing. He's gonna tell you the taxi driver a story.
I'm enjoying life. I'm having fun.
Yeah. Oh, I love being around it. Yeah. So, I mean,
Maybe
I
for,
guess,
maybe for the
what's that?
1%, maybe for the 1% episode, we'll tell people about the pocket aces.
Oh, so,
All right.
kind of bring it home. I mean, I didn't necessarily break down all that stuff and all the craziness, but that's because like I don't think the information is what that's about. It's good. You want the information. Buy the recordings for $300 and go scour all of it and think it's the shiny object and all that stuff. But it's you watching this probably have everything you already need to succeed at whatever you're probably going to do. The problem is you're not willing to bet on those simple things because that's too easy or too, and it's boring and it requires a Rocky montage that unlike the movie is not 2 minutes, it's like 5 years, as Hermosi would say. Um, and I'm telling you that is all it is. And where I've had success is when I did those things consistently. And where I've not had success is where I tried this complex, crazy, shiny thing. It's just a just a waste of
Distraction.
time.
It's a big
Yep.
distraction, a big waste of time. Let's end it with this last thought on Maverick. Do you think it'd be good for solo agents or just strictly for business owners, team leaders?
If you're in the real estate space, it's good. I mean, it's focused. I think the most avatars, team leaders, maybe broker owners, or maybe like a downline builder person type deal, like a leader of an organization in real estate is the best avatar. But anybody in as a real estate agent, 100%. Lenders, pretty solid too. But the thing for me is I come home and I was saying this to multiple people is it's like I wish more of the people I knew like it's personally were in real estate because it's just everyone's a leader and there's so many nuggets of leadership that are in there that you can use with the people you lead, and everybody leads people. I don't care how small or big, everybody leads people. As agents, we're leading our buyers, we're leading our sellers, we're leading the other agents we interact with in deals or in organizations. As parents, as coaches of youth sports teams, like there's I mean, and then with your friends, like I said, I took direct, like literally from the notes, which I rarely take, but I did this trip. uh
Get like a
from
book
the
full of
notes. Yeah, I was talking to a friend and I'm like, holy shit, I need this. And I went in there and I referenced that framework. It's still me in the conversation, but it was a framework on how to get someone to discover the answer themselves instead of telling them the answer. That's all the framework was because nobody will do something that's your idea. They're going to resent you. It needs to be their own idea. They need to own it, and that's when they'll do it. And that worked regardless of what. So I know I went, but so yeah, that's the description. But so even if you're in another industry, I don't think it can hurt to go to that one. That's pretty solid.
Well, let's do this. Let's see if we could get a large group of us to go to one of these events. Hopefully, it's Dallas. We are, I'm reading this book called The Energy Buzz. I'll talk about it on another podcast. But basically, hey, get on our bus. There's room for everybody. Let's all grow together. I mean, there's no, like we said, there's no scarcity mindset between any of us here. We're here to help. And, maybe there's something that you could help us with. Maybe there's something that we could help you with. Let's all jump on the bus together and make it happen, peeps.
Let's do it. We'll see you at the top. And there we go. Why did it not end?